What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Mordin. I know it's been a long time you guys see this face. You've been hearing the voice over with some of the videos, but today is going to be a serious one. Let me just dive straight into it. Stonebwoy and the Power Breakfast Club interview. So today, actually, Stonebwoy was at the studios of the Breakfast Club in America, New York, I think. And he did an interview, a very good interview, about 35 minutes long. I took the time to watch it, and there are a few things that I want to talk about. First of all, I want to big up Stonebwoy for his forcefulness, as an artist, as a big artist. He's still pushing through the lines, and he makes his own connections sometimes. We know he has a partnership or an agreement or a signing agreement with Def Jam, right? But he still goes out of his own way to still make some connections, because at the end of the day, he still has that independent artist mentality, in him, which is a good thing. So I remember somewhere in December last year, well, Ghana was buzzing with all the celebrities, etc. At one of the shows, he bumped into Charlemagne the God, and that was when Charlemagne the God actually just said, hey, you can pass through the interview one of the days, and he capitalized on it and just went in there, right? He created that avenue for himself, and he went in, and that is a very forceful one. I want to big him up for that. Now, for me, such a networking level and actually falling through with it is what will enable the new set of gatekeepers in the industry, where it's going to shift from the hands of the media folks to people who have actually been on the ground, the musicians themselves who are part of the business, etc. It gives them that power to be able to decide the next generation of artists to represent the country Ghana, because they know it all from struggling through their street days, being independent, getting some strides, making some successful movements, etc. in the entertainment industry. I think it gives them that right to be able to carefully curate the next set of artists that would rule the country and the African continent as a whole, right? So with that regard, I big up Stonebwoy for making such a stride. Now, the interview itself was a good one. I think for brand Stonebwoy, the interview was good for brand Stonebwoy. However, there are a few pointers, right? For Ghana as a whole, Stonebwoy didn't seem to sell Ghana, because there are certain questions that were asked that the question went back to trying to push Stonebwoy as a brand out there, So a typical example of, the question was asked about Charlemagne the God wanted to even know that, okay, with all the shows that are happening in Ghana, etc., it looks like Nigerian artists are headlining all the time, and it's like the Ghanaians are being relegated to the background in a way, right? Of course, Ghanaians are always being put up on the platform. Stonebwoy even mentioned it, Ghanaians are put on the platform. But the angle from which the question is coming from, for what I know, is that yes, it's in Ghana, we should see more Ghanaian names, you get it? Because anybody who is traveling into the country of Ghana would want to also experience the artistry, you get it, in a very good way. But then when you, there is proper headlining, and there is also just being put on a card for making up the numbers, in a good way, which is what most of the artists are doing. Now, I get it. Stonebwoy answered it by saying he was headlining, right? But that wasn't really the thing. In such instances, a big artist as he is, it is better to be more selfless, in that very moment, to try to speak on behalf of everybody, because that is the only thing that will make the whole thing grow in a good way. But typically for Stonebwoy, I think he was also being very careful about who he hurts in the process with whatever he may say, because at the end of the day, it may go against his brand, and maybe some gigs he may have to get in the future, or relationship he might have built with the people who are in charge of those promotional organizations who give him the gigs, etc. So I understand it, but there was also another question as to why it is important that the bridge be built between the Americans coming into Ghana currently, the Black Americans, coming into Ghana currently, and building that type of front, in Ghana. And with that also, his answer wasn't a bit tricky. But of course, we are all different human beings and we think differently, One answer he touched on for the first time that I think made a lot of sense from the angle he came from was that of Meek Mill, right? He went straight to it And from Stonebwoy's view, it was not Meek Mill's fault in any way, which is true because Stonebwoy said, I can't come to the White House and just come and shoot if the security apparatus do not allow me to, right? So it was solely the responsibility of the security forces or the security personnel at the Flagstaff House in Ghana or the Jubilee House to enforce what needs to be on video and what doesn't have to be on video. Because for someone like Meek Mill, who for the first time is on African soil, would want to be carried with excitement to do a lot of different things. So I understand that angle coming from Stonebwoy and the way he explained it. Now, another thing that I think got me a bit surprised in a good way, no, two things. Stonebwoy spoke very good of Asamoah Gyan when it came to his knee injury, right? So I'm just summarizing everything to you, my thoughts on it in general. Now, I could have just watched the whole interview with you guys and react to it, but the interview is 35 minutes long, and it's going to be, my reaction will be maybe 15 minutes, and it's going to be a bit longer. So I just want to give you like a brief summary of everything and what I think about in less than 10 minutes so that we are done with all these things. So in general, I like the way he was happy about what Asamoah Gyan did to him, but then again, you get it. Stonebwoy has a way he wants to always put himself first in a picture, right? So the question was, one footballer paid for his knee surgery, and he was happy to talk about it, right? But he could have just also went about saying that, oh, listen, yeah, I was due for surgery, and then he offered to pay for me, right? And that would just be beautiful. There is nothing wrong with it, but he was like, yeah, I was prepared to pay for it already, but he said, because I was going to go already, but he said I should send him the bill, you know. So it's kind of like, I don't need the money of a sort, and he still offered to do it anyways, right? But there is a true feeling from somewhere where someone really and truly loves you and cares about you and just wants to contribute to your life, you know, even if you have it, even if you don't, you can afford it. Everybody knows that you have money and you can truly afford it. So there are times when certain things happen, you should just let go of individual ego and individual class or status and try to just give props to who props is due, right? So that is one thing that I see over there from that very one. I know we may all disagree as to my thoughts, but I would also entreat you guys to go watch the interview to give him the numbers so that next time other Ghanaian acts can also get the opportunity to be on that platform. You know, those are some of the things. And the last thing is about the Shatta Wale factor, right? He spoke about the fracas between himself and Shatta Wale and the VGMA brouhaha that happened right now. If you all watch that thing, I won't put a clip in there. Go watch the video itself and sum your own mindset or your own views or opinion on that. From where Stonebwoy was speaking from, I sensed a lot of bitterness from him. Body language wise, you can read it and you know it directly. Now, Stonebwoy, we all know on the day was the one who pulled out the gun on that fateful night, right? But Stonebwoy spoke as if Shatta Wale orchestrated everything in a very bad. Till now, we don't know why Shatta Wale rose up that day to go there, and we know the Shatta Wale will not attack Stonebwoy in public like that or on national TV. Shatta won't do that. Shatta respects his brand so much. Now, Shatta likes controversies, yes, but I don't think Shatta will just get up to want to hurt someone just like that out there because he has people to represent, etc. Right? And so there is an agenda that is being pushed by the media about the persona of Shatta Wale, and that is exactly what Stonebwoy also did. Stonebwoy mentioned that in that era, Shatta Wale was that kind of guy who just wants to step on everybody, move to everybody, and just attack everybody in that way. And this was the same type of demeanor Sarkodie also gave off in one interview he also did about Shatta Wale. Now, guys, Shatta Wale is not a mad person, right? And most often, people step on his toes, especially this same Stonebwoy. He had stepped on Shatta Wale's toes numerous times. He does videos, he posts some things on his Snap, etc., and he quickly deletes it. The only difference between Shatta Wale and Stonebwoy is that anything Shatta Wale does, he leaves it, he never deletes it. So we always have evidence to pull, but Stonebwoy will just put it out there and delete it. But the person who it offends, of course, sees it and will be annoyed and would want to react. You get it? And so, good interview overall, but I think from the perspective of Stonebwoy as a brand, it did well for his brand. I think it's a very good interview for his brand because he was well spoken all through and through the interview, and so people would kind of be refreshed to see an Afrobeat artist coming out of Ghana, coming out of Africa with such a refreshed, outspoken nature, or a very eloquent way of expressing and articulating his views, right? So for brand Stonebwoy, he did so good. But I think as an advantage to sell Ghana as a country, or other people, to give props to other artists, etc., he didn't do that, and it was all about himself in a way. Even tries to put himself in a picture when he's not supposed to, you know. So for example, one of the things that happened was that they mentioned, I think Charlemagne the God mentioned, no, the other guy mentioned about the biking bit of Meek Mill, right, in Ghana. And Stonebwoy was like, oh yeah, all those boys, I grew up with them, they are my boys, etc., you know. I think the whole thing was about the experience and how he feels about it, you know. So in such a thing, oh, I was cool, I'm happy he felt at home, etc., you know. Those are the things you should be saying, and just big up the boys for also holding him down, etc., and not necessarily say they are your boys and all of that, to make it feel like you're a big boy, that kind of thing. Of course, see, if you're a big person, we know you're a big person, you don't have to enforce it. People will speak and blow your horns for you in a good way. So that's what I think. That's the roundup for the whole interview. That is just my take on it. Let me know. I will do a video also on Coach Sheldon Shatta Wale fracas. I've just been quiet about it, but I think I'll just come up with a video on it so that I share my thoughts with you, etc. But this is my bid on Stonebwoy Breakfast Club interview. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like you always know on this channel, my name will forever remain Mordin. As I always say, if anybody comes to you with a negative vibe, turn around with a smile and say, peace out.